your go-to resource for U.S. immigration insights. We provide clear immigration news and information. Our platform provides a network of licensed attorneys who can answer your questions and guide you through the process. From visas to green cards, asylums to citizenships, immigrationquestion.com helps you to network with immigration attorneys so that you can move forward with confidence. Sign up today or download the app. Free registration, limited time offer. Stay tuned. We go live in 30 seconds.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's live webinar brought to you by immigrationquestion.com, a networking platform and meeting ground where immigrants, families, advocates and licensed immigration attorneys come together to learn, exchange information and stay current on US immigration developments. My name is GB Satusa and I'll be your host for today's session, Citizenship Options for Long-Term Permanent Residents and Senior Applicants. For many long-term green card holders and senior permanent residents, the path to US citizenship can feel unclear or intimidating. Questions about eligibility, exemptions, English and civics requirements, medical waivers, and prior immigration history often cause hesitation, even for individuals who have lived in the United States for decades. Today's discussion is designed to clarify citizenship options specifically for long-term permanent residents and older applicants. We'll explore how naturalization rules apply to seniors, the special considerations, and how applicants can move forward with confidence while avoiding common mistakes that can lead to delays or denials. To guide us through this important topic, we are joined by attorney William Gerstein, Esquire. Attorney Gerstein is a Florida and Georgia licensed immigration attorney certified by the Florida Bar in immigration and nationality law. Practicing since 1995, he is admitted to the U.S. Federal Court for the Southern District of Florida and has guided thousands of clients through citizenship and immigration matters. Fluent in Spanish and Italian, he brings decades of experience and trusted insight to naturalization cases. Attorney Gerstein, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Now, before we begin, a quick note for everyone tuning in. ImmigrationQuestion.com is a public platform created for education and discussion. Attorneys who participate do so independently, and the platform does not provide individualized guidance. To everyone joining us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and other platforms, welcome. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time. Grab your notepads and let's get started. Now, Attorney Gerstein, many long-term permanent residents delay applying for U.S. citizenship. From your experience, what are the most common reasons people wait, sometimes for decades, before taking the step?
Usually it's because they're unable to master the English language, or they can't manage to spend enough time in the U.S., or the primary reasons that I see.
And how do citizenship eligibility rules differ, if at all, for senior applicants or individuals who have held green cards for a long time?
There are some exemptions to the language requirement. So for people that have had the green card for 15 years, and I believe are 55 years of age or older, or 20 years, 58 years of age or older, they would take it in their they would be able to take it in their native language with a translator. And then applicants, I believe 65 or older, get a simplified version of the test, so they don't have to memorize the 128 questions. They have about 20 much simpler questions, things like July 4th, red, white, and blue, things like that.
For older permanent residents who may have concerns about the English or civics requirements, what legal exemptions or accommodations should they be aware of?
If they don't meet the age and residency exemptions, then they would have to qualify on a medical exemption. If there is a medical condition that exists that prevents them from learning the English language and or learning the U.S. history and civics.
Right. Now, how can past issues such as extended travel abroad, tax filings, or minor criminal history affect a long-term resident's ability to naturalize?
Well, what it could do is they may be constantly resetting the statutory period, which is normally 5 years. So if they stay outside the U.S. for more than 6 months during any time in the past 5 years, then they're putting the application in jeopardy because they then have to prove that they really maintain their ties with the United States. Um, but also, pretty much any kind of arrest within the statutory period can also lead to the same thing, unless it was, something where you could prove it was some sort of self-defense or that they had the wrong person. But generally, they're going to look at the police report and say, well, even if you weren't convicted, this is the type of behavior that interrupts good moral character.
What documentation challenges tend to arise for applicants who received their green cards many years ago, and how can they prepare for those issues?
Well, it's the statutory period, which is the 5 years leading up to the date of the application, is the most important. And you also want to be able to update the immigration service with things that have happened since the last time that you've dealt with them. Did you divorce? Did you remarry? Did you have children? Were you arrested? So all of these things become issues as they need to be updated. But for the most part, the record keeping in the past 5 years is the most important. Making sure that if you have to file taxes, that they are timely filed. That if you owe money to the IRS or a state or local entity that collects tax, that you're on top of this and you've either paid it or you're in a reasonable payment plan.
Now, for families helping elderly parents or relatives pursue citizenship, what planning considerations are especially important to avoid delays or complications?
Well, I would tell them that if their elderly parent or relative doesn't speak English, let us first assess whether they're able to take the test in their own language, and then we would see if they're capable of learning the history and civics in their own language. If they're not, then we would ask if there's any kind of medical history where we would qualify for a waiver, some sort of trauma or dementia or something that's happened, other than just not feeling like you want to try to learn.
Thank you for those insights, Attorney. For everyone watching, citizenship applications, especially for long-term and senior permanent residents, require careful preparation and a clear understanding of how USCIS evaluates eligibility, documentation, and interview responses. Staying informed can significantly reduce stress and uncertainty throughout the process. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. ImmigrationQuestion.com is a networking platform where users can ask immigration-related questions at no cost and engage directly with participating attorneys. We're also proud to share that ImmigrationQuestion.com is BBB accredited and ISO certified, reflecting our commitment to transparency, accountability, community education, and security. Now, Attorney Gerstein, based on your experience, how do platforms like ImmigrationQuestion.com help immigrants and immigration attorneys like yourself?
Well, for the participants, it dispels myths and provides direct knowledge, as opposed to getting news from non-attorneys on social media, or just hearing things in the community where you don't know if the people that you're hearing it from really understand the issues or even understand the exact process that they went through or why there were delays or other issues with it. And it allows people to come together to collaborate and ask questions amongst each other and to get proper answers.
Thanks for that, Attorney. Now, before we move into our live Q&A, one final question. For long-term permanent residents or senior applicants who feel hesitant or overwhelmed by the citizenship process, what practical first steps can help them assess readiness and move forward without unnecessary risk?
In our office, when we prepare people for interviews, whether, let's say, it's going for a marriage green card interview or going for a naturalization interview, we have filmed YouTube videos that describe in depth everything that happens, so that they know everything that's going to happen from the moment they walk in the door until the moment that they leave. So watching these videos would sort of dispel some of the fears or misassumptions that people have. In addition, if they are hesitant, it's possible to bring your attorney with you to the interview, just simply to have that level of comfort, and where we could jump in if there's an issue, or certainly to help explain something that might be difficult for the applicant to explain.
If you've just joined us, we've been speaking with attorney William Gerstein on citizenship options for long-term permanent residents and senior applicants. We are now moving into our live Q&A session. This is your opportunity to ask questions directly to a licensed immigration attorney. Please drop your questions in the chat or call us live at 516-703-3483, and we'll take as many as possible. How many years as a green card holder do I need before I can apply for US citizenship?
So generally it is 5 years. That is the standard. It can be 3 years if you're married to and living with the same US citizen for the 3 years leading up to the time of your application. It does not mean that you have to have gotten your green card through marriage. That's a misassumption. It just means that you have to be married to and living with the same US citizen. So then it would be 3 years instead of 5 years. And then if you're fully joined into the military during a time of active conflict, which we have been in that since September 11th, then you pretty much can apply just about right away.
All right. I have a small traffic violation. Can it stop me from being a citizen?
I would say generally no, but it depends what it is. If it's something like leaving the scene of an accident, that's something that reflects on your character. If it's something like, something simple like making a right at a red light, or speeding, that's not too egregious, then generally it's not going to have any impact. It wouldn't affect the statutory period.
All right.
But I also want to say that you should always log in to the clerk of the court of where any incident occurred, and make sure that all payments are made and up to date, because otherwise your driver's license could be suspended without you knowing, and it would cause all these issues that you were unaware of.
Right. Will old people take a simple version of the civics test?
Well, it depends what you consider old, but yes, as we talked about, I believe it was for 65, that they get about 20 questions and answers, as I was explaining, about very basic things like how many states are in the United States, what are the colors of our flag. So yes, there is a simplified version in that case.
All right. I heard the citizenship test changed in 2025. So what is new now?
So it went from 100 questions to 128. There are more parts in the answers that you need to learn and memorize. And whereas in the past they asked you 10 questions, now they ask you 20 questions, but you still have to get 60% correct, which is 12 as opposed to the 6 previously.
Right. If I filed my Form N400 before they announced the new civics test, will I also have to do the new test?
No, in this circumstance, this person would be grandfathered into the test that existed at that time.
All right. Can my child and spouse apply for citizenship with me if they are also green card holders?
So it depends. It definitely depends. First of all, you have to be at least 18 years old to apply for naturalization. Okay. And if we take a scenario of, let's say that we have a person who is married to a citizen, and that's how the person got their green card, and they also have a child who got their green card through that same sponsorship. The parent would be able to apply after 3 years, whereas the child would have to be both 18 and have 5 years. However, if the child is under 18, when the parent that they are living with and the child has a green card, when that parent becomes a U.S. citizen, for the most part, that child would become a citizen at the same time. Therefore, you wouldn't need the naturalization.
All right. Thank you for those insights. Now,
My
Attorney,
pleasure.
recent reporting has highlighted Chicago's whistle patrols and rapid response tactics, which some observers see as a potential blueprint for broader national immigration pushback. These developments raise questions about enforcement, community involvement, and the long-term value of securing permanent legal status. How should long-term permanent residents interpret developments like these, and why does U.S. citizenship remain an important consideration in evolving enforcement environment?
Well, first of all, having U.S. citizenship is the ultimate protection because as a citizen, you obviously can't be deported. You always are entitled to return to the United States, no matter how long you've been gone. Now, as far as what's going on in this country, you don't want to be involved in any kind of violence and in any protests because you don't want to be detained. You don't want to draw attention to yourself, and you don't want to further the narrative that peaceful protesters are rioters. But part of being American and being in this country is being able to stand up for your rights and letting the government know when people are being treated unfairly and mistreated in general. So people should make this known to their representatives and to the federal government as a whole, but to try to do it in a manner that's respectful and peaceful and not play into a narrative of being a rioter or insurrectionist.
Thank you so much, Attorney William Gerstein, for sharing your time and insight today. Your explanations help clarify a process that can feel overwhelming, particularly for long-term and senior permanent residents. And to everyone watching, thank you for joining today's webinar. We hope this discussion has helped you better understand citizenship options and the importance of thoughtful preparation. You can always visit immigrationquestion.com to ask immigration-related questions and stay informed about upcoming discussions. If you'd like to revisit today's session or share it with others, the full replay will be available on Spotify. Just search Borderless Talk by immigrationquestion.com. Join us next week for another live conversation covering key immigration topics and current developments. Until then, stay informed and stay connected.